Hey everyone, today I've got a pretty cool new AI image editing model for you, PhysicEdit. This one's from a Chinese research team and it's already open source on GitHub. The big selling point, it actually understands physics when editing images. Let me break down the problem first. Current editing tools, all those diffusion-based ones, they're great at semantic understanding. But as soon as your edit involves physical cause and effect, they fall apart. Even the strongest ones like Nano Banana struggle. The issue is they treat editing as a static image-to-image mapping, just learning the relationship between start and end frames without caring about how you get from A to B. The PhysicEdit team took a totally different approach. They reframe image editing as a physical state transition problem. What does that mean? Instead of just turning image A into image B, it's about state A evolving into state B through actual physics. Like the real world, there's process, causality, physical constraints. Tech-wise, PhysicEdit builds on Quen Image Edit. If you've been in the comfy UI space for a while, you definitely know that one. On top of that, they added physical reasoning text and query vectors to guide the diffusion process. Plus, they use WAN 2.2T2V to generate candidate videos and GPT-5 Mini to verify the physics, making sure the training data actually makes sense. Right now, PhysicEdit is SOTA among open source methods, and it can actually compete with top closed source commercial models. In the demo earlier, I ran it head-to-head against Nano Banana, using the same source image and prompt. Honestly, they both have their strengths. PhysicEdit wins in certain scenarios. And this is just the first official release. Future versions are only going to get better. Physics-based editing is still pretty niche, but the potential here is massive. Alright, let's hop over to Running Hub and check out the workflow. I built this workflow on Running Hub. It's actually my go-to comfy UI cloud platform. They usually get new workflows and models up pretty much right when they drop. You can find all kinds of useful AI workflows over there. Links in the comments, and if you use my invitation code, you'll get some extra Running Hub perks. As you can see, the PhysicEdit workflow is dead simple. Just two core nodes. One for loading the model, one for sampling. Honestly, it doesn't get much simpler than this. One thing to note though, right now the PhysicEdit node is still pipeline-based, so it's going to run slower than your typical workflow. You're probably looking at 1 to 2 minutes of wait time. I've already dialed in all the parameters for optimal results, so you can just run with these settings. No need to experiment and figure it out yourself. Just upload your image, type in your prompt, hit the run button up top, and you're good to go. Now let's check out some side-by-side comparisons with Nano Banana. Just a heads up, left side is the original, middle is PhysicEdit, right is Nano Banana. First up, we've got a hot pot. The prompt was to make it look steaming hot. Comparing the two, honestly they're both solid, hard to say one's clearly better. But PhysicEdit's version has more detail in the boiling broth. You can see more bubbles on the surface. Personally, I'd go with the PhysicEdit result. Second example, original's a glass of water. The prompt was to add a straw to the glass. Both PhysicEdit and Nano Banana handled the light refraction through the straw pretty well. Nothing major to complain about there. But here's the thing, both made extra changes beyond just adding the straw. PhysicEdit shifted the color tone, added this blue tint, and also removed the water droplets around the base. Nano Banana got rid of the droplets too, but to the naked eye, that's the only obvious change it made. For that reason, I'd say Nano Banana handled this one better. This one's adding a cracked screen to the iPhone. Yeah, no contest. Nano Banana clearly wins here. I ran PhysicEdit through this glass crack effect multiple times, and it just couldn't nail it. Probably has to do with what was in its training data. Maybe they'll fix that in the next version, but for now, if you need cracks, stick with Nano Banana. Next up, the prompt here was to turn the entire glass into a frozen state. PhysicEdit clearly stuck to the brief. To the naked eye, it barely touched anything else in the image. It even handled the glass's shadow properly with all the ice details. Nano Banana? It completely ignored the prompt and just dropped an ice cube into the glass. No question, PhysicEdit crushed it on this one. This set, the prompt was to burn this plush duck toy. Honestly, tough call on this one. PhysicEdit nailed some specific details on the duck, but it barely touched the small stitches and changed the overall filter pretty noticeably. Nano Banana did solid work too. Lots of detail. It even burned the flowers in the background. If we're talking pure detail, Nano Banana takes this. But the overall burn effect looks different between the two. Different levels of charring. Might be my prompt wasn't specific enough. This one, the prompt was to deflate the basketball. No question, PhysicEdit got the physics right here. But again, it messed with the color grading and I still haven't figured out exactly when it decides to do that. Hopefully they fix that in the next update. Nano Banana just dented the surface of the ball, which makes zero sense physically. A real deflated basketball would shrink overall, not just cave in on one side. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Final example, the prompt was to make the woman's hair look statically charged, all puffed up and standing on end. PhysicEdit nailed the electrocution look here. The hair has this organized lift, standing up in a way that actually looks like static electricity. Nano Banana's version just looks messy, honestly more like wind-blown hair than an electric shock. No doubt, PhysicEdit delivered exactly what the prompt asked for. So looking at all these examples, both PhysicEdit and Nano Banana have their strengths when it comes to physics-based editing. They can definitely hang with top-tier closed-source models, and PhysicEdit even outperforms Nano Banana in certain areas. I think the open-source community is only going to get better from here. Maybe someday open models will actually surpass the closed ones. Definitely recommend playing around. With these open-source tools and supporting the community, workflow links in the comments as always. Alright, that's it for today. If this helped you out, hit subscribe, really appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one.